We're studying Perek Dalet. Now here's the way you have to understand it. The neshama is divided into 3 parts. Right? And the way I like to explain it is very simple. There's the inner part of the neshama, which is always connected to Hashem. The middle part of the neshama, which is the neshama's identity, what the neshama is, the moyach and the leiv, the personality, the mind and the heart. And the outer part of the neshama, which is the neshama's connection to the world around itself. The neshama's connection to the world around itself serves 2 purposes. Kislev and Yitzia. What you let in and what you give out. The tools of Kislev and Yitzia, the mechanisms by which you let things in and give things out, is called the levushim. The garments. Okay? Garments mean the layers, if you will, filters. What should come in and what should not come in. Sheftim v'sheitim titelecha b'chol sharach. So Perek Beis spoke about etzem hanefesh. It was one shia, the whole Perek. Perek Gimel spoke about koiches hanefesh, the faculties of the neshama, the tools of the neshama. And if I'm not mistaken, this is divided into 2 shiurim, moyach and leiv. The Perek is divided up into 3 parts, and it talks about the garments of the neshama. The purpose of the garments of the neshama is the connection between the neshama and the world around himself. We'll see in this Perek of Hashem that the neshama is the levushim of the lowest level of the neshama. Obviously, the etzem and the neshama. Chelek l'kamim al mamish, yisol b'machshava is one with atzmas amhus. The koiches hanefesh, the faculties and the tools of the neshama, the seichel and midas. Like I told you, seichel finds out the truth, the midas personalizes the truth, and the levushim bring the information in and give the information out. We're going to see later on that there's an advantage in the levushim over the neshama because it's what does Torah and mitzvahs. But that's tomorrow. Today we're simply learning about the levush. Perek Dalet.
3 levels you said about the neshama. Is that Nefesh Ruach Neshama?
No.
What is that then?
Each one of Nefesh Ruach Neshama has these 3 dimensions. Perek Dalet. V'oid yesh lachol nefesh lekis shleish levush. Additionally, every godly soul has 3 garments. Stop. I want to just make a comment. Remember, the animal soul also has exactly the same system. The animal soul has an equivalent of Perek Beis, an etzem of behema. It has koiches, seichel, and midas, and it has levushim. Every time you learn Torah and do mitzvahs, you're using your nefesh halikis. Every time you're doing something stupid and meaningless and foolish and empty, you're using your nefesh habahamas. So we speak specifically about the use of the levushim to serve the Eibishter. Shehem machshava dibur ma'aseh, which is the thought, speech, and deed. Shel tayan mitzvahs hatera, 630 mitzvahs hatera. And what about eating breakfast? Breakfast is not these 3 levushim. What about speaking lashon hara? Lashon hara is not these 3 levushim. Because these 3 levushim are only from the nefesh halikis, and lashon hara is from the levushim of nefesh habahamas. So when you read the Alter Rebbe and it sounds like all a Jew does is Yiddishkeit, first of all, for the Alter Rebbe, it was taka that way. And second of all, because the nefesh halikis he's talking about. Nefesh halikis is etzem, nefesh halikis is koiches, nefesh halikis is midas, are involved only in kedush. Shek shahad the mekayim b'mais, when a Yid does in action. Kol mitzvahs, mais is all physical deeds. He's using his garment of action. Oh, but dibur, and when he speaks. He studies. In other words, in Teresh Balpeh and Teresh B'Ksav, the interpretation of the 630 mitzvahs. Vilchasein and their halachas. Ubemachshav and in thought, to Masik, he's reaching intellectually and understanding Kol Ma'ash, after the Lahasik, Bipad the Satera, everything you can reach and understand, and the Pshat, Remes, Drush, and say to all different levels of Teda. Hare, so through your actions of Torah and mitzvahs, through your speech of Torah and mitzvahs, and you thought in Torah and mitzvahs, Klal Te'ah gave it a nafshe, all 613 of your limbs, mulubashim are a garment for b'tayag mitzvahs, a Torah, 630 mitzvahs of the Torah. Because each time you do a mitzvah, it's to a particular limb and a particular garment, and each mitzvah, each one of Tayag, has the machshava part of it, the dibur part of it, and the maisa part of it. The machshava is the kavana, the dibur is the teira, or the bracha on the mitzvah, and then the maisa mitzvah is the maisa. And when you do teira and mitzvahs, but machshava, dibur, or maisa, you become a keli, you become a lavush for Yiddishkeit. Okay? Ube pratius. But specifically, we have to link Perek Gimel to Perek Dalet. We just talk about thought, speech, and deed, yeah? Pick a mitzvah. Chanukah Licht. There's the kavan of Chanukah Licht, there's the Teira of Chanukah Licht, and there's the Maisa of Chanukah Licht. That's Machshava Dibur Maisa. Correct? Tefillin. There's the kavan of Tefillin, there's the limud of Tefillin, there's the asiyah of Tefillin. But bepratius, there's a connection between the koiches and the levush. In other words, Perek Gimel and Perek Dalet. Just like this. Your chochma, your seichel, which we learned about in Perek Gimel. Milubashas basagas atayda is invested in understanding the Torah. Shumasik b'padas, you reach intellectually in the 4 levels of Pshat Remes Drush Seid, Kvicheles Asagase, according to the limited abilities of each one to understand, and of course also v'shedesh nafshe l'mal yerut l'mayl. So even though there's machshava dibur u'mais in each one of the Tayag mitzvahs, specifically Chabad is connected to machshava. Learning Torah is connected to machshava. V'hamides, and your emotions, which we talked about in the previous Pedic. Sheyira v'ava v'anfeim v'tul the same, which are fear and love and their branches and their children. Melubashes are invested b'kiyim ha'mitzvahs b'maiso b'dibur. Is invested in doing the mitzvahs in action and in speech. So thought is connected to moichin. Dibur and mais is connected to midas. In other words, even though they're two separate issues, one is the issue called koiches, the other issue is called levushim. Koiches means your brain and your heart, which study and process truth. And levushim means how you do things, how you gather information, how you give stuff out. Bepratius machshava is connected mostly to seichel, and dibur and ma'isa is connected mostly to midas. Shu talmud Torah she'et kulam, and speech is the idea of learning Torah b'dibur, which is equal to all the mitzvahs. So your machshava is connected to limud HaTorah, and your dibur and ma'isa is connected to the Tayag mitzvah, including the act of chayim heim le'metziyayim bepeh, not thinking iyun of Torah, but actually speaking words of Torah. And the Alter Rebbe gives you a very important explanation for why this is. Ki ha'ava, because loving the Eivishter. He sheidish kol hamach mitzvahs asay is the root of all 248 mitzvahs. Umimena anim shachas, all 248 mitzvahs come from Ava. The source of all 248 is Ava. And the highest of the 248 is Ava. Uballah, then if not for Ava, ein lam kima mita, your mitzvahs don't have real existence. Ki ha'makayma be'emes, to do mitzvahs, mitan emes. Hu ha'ayev Hashem Hashem. You have to love the Eibishter. V'chaf, it's dafka be'emes, and desire to be attached to him be'emes. V'ef shel dafka be'emes, you can't become attached to the Eibishter be'emes. Notice that Alter Rebbe says the word emes 3 or 4 times, right? Amiti, be'emes, be'emes, and be'emes. Right? Amiti, be'emes, be'emes, and be'emes. Kiyim, unless Bekiyim ramach bekudin, by doing the 248 mitzvahs asay, Shem ramach everim, the malka kviyachol, which is the 240 limbs Eibishter k'mashkasa makamach. What's the Alter Rebbe saying? Alter Rebbe is saying, even though we said that there's 2 systems, one system is a Seichel Amidah system, which is the Pnimius of Yiddishkeit, and the other is the Machshava Dibur Maisa system, which is the Chitzainus of Yiddishkeit. They're connected. They're connected. When you learn Torah, you have to use your Machshava, your Seichel, your Moichin. And when you do mitzvahs, you have to use your Lev, because your heart gives meaning to the Yiddishkeit that you perform. You could do mitzvahs with the lay level without a heart. It's not be'emes. If you want to do it be'emes, you have to have Avas Hashem. And the Avas Hashem is the neshama of the Ramach mitzvah saseh. By the way, I want to make a comment in preparation. One of the 248 positive mitzvahs is Yira. V'ha Yira and Yira. Yira is the root of all 365 laisaseh. What does it mean? Number one, you're afraid to rebel against the King of all kings, the Eibishter, either because you're afraid of being punished, or on a higher level because you're afraid of the king. Or Yira Pnimius means a deeper kind of fear, but not called Yiras Ha'oinish, Yiras Chet, but Yiras Havaya, Yiras Halikim. It doesn't have a Chaim and Agdoma. The Yiras Ha'oinish, there's Yiras Chet, there's Yiras Hakim, and there's Yiras Havaya. It's 4 madrig. Shem is Beishish, big delos. There's Yiras Ha'oinish, there's Yiras Chet, there's Yiras Halikim, and there's Yiras Hashem. They're 4 madrigas. Shem is Beishish, big delos, say you're embarrassed of the Eibishter's greatness. Limited Einik Vede, you're embarrassed. Not afraid of being punished, afraid of something else. You're embarrassed to rebel against the eyes of the glory of Hashem. Do everything that's evil in his eyes. Whatever he considers abominable and he hates. Haim, which is any Aveda, or even lack of doing a mitzvah, which is a klipa is visited achara. Klipa is visited achara, which was mentioned in Tanya Perek Aleph. We'll discuss it in later Perakim. That the chayis for klipa, Hashem creates klipa, right? We heard it in Samachay, and He gives them a minimum chayis. But the additional chayis of klipa is me'adam atachtan, from us people. Hashem is called Adam Ha'elyin, and we're called Adam Atachtan. And when we do Avedis, we create a unique from Adam Atachtan to klipa. And not only are they yenik from us, they're also yenik from Adam Ha'elyin. We control Adam Ha'elyin. We do mitzvahs and don't do Avedis, klipa gets less chayis. We don't do mitzvahs, we do Avedis, klipa gets more chayis from Adam Atachtan, meaning us, and through us also from Adam Ha'elyin. And the way klipa can hold on to us and try to schlep a little life from us to itself is b'shasam mitzvahs leisa says, by us failing to be careful in doing Avedis, not doing mitzvahs say. So the Alter Rebbe is saying, Ava, the sheresh of Ramach mitzvahs say,
Yira the sheresh of Shasa mitzvahs leisase. But one of the mitzvahs I say is Yira. He says that Ava is the chayes of all 613 mitzvahs. You know, the Rebbe brings in many places, including Tafshin and Beis. The Rebbe said L'sicha Beis Shvat. That what's the word Neir? Nun Reish Neir, candle, is Gematria 248 plus 2. Which goes on Ava and Yira. The pnimius of the midas of the mitzvahs is Ava Hashem and Yira Hashem, like we have over here, and the Neir itself, this is the Ava, which is the sherish of both mitzvah and mitzvah. So B'kitz and we learn 2 points. Number one, that the neshama's periphery is the behavioral level. The neshama's interior is one with Hashem. The neshama's center is the nerve center, how the neshama processes things, knows things, understands things, and reacts to things. The neshama's chitzoni is the one that does. It thinks, speaks, and does. And more particularly, what you think is connected to your mind, to your seichel, and what you speak and do is connected to your heart, because the mitzvahs that we perform need to be animated through Ava and Yira. Hey sister, when you learn Torah, you don't have to have Ava Hashem and Yira Hashem. When you learn Torah, you have to have Seichel.